to really sort of relinquish that control earlier and to understand that, there's so much power in delegating and in trusting others and in really bringing other people into your network and efforts.
What's going on, Next Gen fam? Welcome back to Mentor Momentum. You're in for an absolute treat this week. I am beyond excited to welcome this week's guest. She is an elite operator in marketing and communications. I'm joined by Leah Walters, the head of communications at Monday.com. She joined the company back in 2016 when it had less than 30 employees, and now it's grown into one of the biggest companies in this space, valued at billions of dollars, and truly just changing the game for the way that companies stay organized. So we have so much to dive into, all the way from marketing to even the tricks of the trade that allow Leah to be her best. And I can't wait to dive right into it. So we got to welcome her to the stage. Leah, thank you so much for joining us here on Mentor Momentum.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. That was quite an intro.
I mean, you accomplished all the accomplishments.
We'll see.
I'm really excited to dive in. I think I want to start in a really interesting field of B2B marketing. Obviously, you guys are dealing with business customers, and I've heard you talk about the distinction between B2B and B2C, and almost that like B2B is basically B2C. At the end of the day is, something that you've shared. I was wondering if you could dive a little bit into that and explain how you guys think about marketing to other businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. So just like you touched on, we see a lot of synergy between B2B and B2C, and we've never marketed ourselves as a sort of traditional B2B solution in that we've never said, hey, you business, you have a problem, use our software. It's always, hey, you human, you have issues in collaboration, communication, things that no matter what kind of work you're doing, no matter the size or scale of your team, no matter if you're sitting next to somebody in the office or remote, are real life problems that face us all. And we've always presented Monday in that way.
That's so fascinating. Where do you sit on the, I hear a lot of marketers nowadays talk about being customer obsessed. What is your feeling about that and how you guys think about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a cliche, but it's certainly something that we live by, and it emanates through every part of our platform. We speak to our users like humans. It's colorful and fun and makes you laugh and is a very sort of engaging way of thinking about and experiencing your work. And for us, I'd say our biggest testament to our customers is our customer success operation, where we respond to you however you reach out. In insane record times. I don't want to put pressure on them and cite the exact number because it's changing all the time, but it's something where responding to our customers and engaging with them and helping them grow and use the platform is absolutely our top priority.
It's incredible. I know we're going to get back to marketing. I want to go back in for a second to the beginning of your journey. And you're coming out of school, 20-year-old Leah. What are you thinking about? What's maybe like one piece of advice you would give that version of yourself?
Wow. So yeah, it was I'm not also going to say exactly how long ago that was, but it wasn't yesterday. And I was in a totally different headspace. I had no sort of interest or passion or desire to work in tech. I actually immediately after undergrad didn't even know that I wanted to pursue communications. I thought I was going to go to law school. But looking at what my personal career looked like as a lawyer, I realized that wasn't the profession for me. And I put a tremendous amount of pressure on myself in that moment to decide, what did I want to do? What did I want my career to look like? What was my future going to be? And my lesson to that 20-year-old girl would be, is you can't possibly plan what it's going to be. Strap in, get on, whatever the ride or journey is, and nothing is set in stone. So to appreciate, the opportunities I had in front of me, to pursue them, to learn, and then to pivot if that's what I needed or wanted to do.
Absolutely. And I think you're talking to the perfect audience about just this. I know, for myself and a lot of the folks I talk to in our ecosystem, it's so hard. It's like you're like, yes, that's the ideal. I need to just jump in and take the ride and enjoy it.
Right.
Is there a moment in your life where you kind of had that mind switch when you went from, oh my gosh, I do need to, be at the top of my game. I need to be all this. I need to end up in this perfect role, to just, okay, let me just enjoy the ride and see where things take me?
I'd say it's something I'm still working on and understanding and experiencing, because with every sort of career move I've had, I've realized both how much my previous experience has helped mold me, but also how much you learn on the job and in the specific role itself. So I wouldn't say there's a moment, but in looking back, I've had, 3 sort of major jobs since graduating, all totally different. But I was able to take what I learned in the previous one, apply it to the next one, and sort of grow from there. And I hope that never stops.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like the growth journey is so indicative at, Monday. And as you guys, as I shared in the intro, you joined when the company had 30 employees, and now you guys are projecting close to 700 plus by the end of what is likely this year.
We're past there already. It's
unbelievable.
It's a crazy ride. Yeah.
How have you grown throughout that process? And
oh
what
my
is
God.
I'm sure we could literally have the whole podcast just about that. As like a leader and a manager of people, what is that process been like from, all right, you're working, perhaps solo, perhaps small teams. And obviously I'm sure you're managing, in the teens to, if not hundreds of, individuals on a daily basis.
Right. So certainly it was a journey. When I joined Monday, which was then called DePulse, it was, not in a people manager role. That wasn't really on my mind at all. It was joining a sort of cause and group of people who I immediately felt connected to and really sort of impassioned by. And at the time, we were really thinking about how to explain who we are and what we do, how to differentiate the platform, and to communicate that externally. And it was totally a phase of building and experiencing and trying and failing. And as we learned from our mistakes and grew both in customer base and also experience ourselves, we continued that scaling process. And just like you said, we have a tremendous team now to support. And for me, it's bittersweet, because the more you sort of mature in your role, the less you engage in the sort of hardcore day-to-day work. And while Monday is very much a roll up your sleeves environment, and there's no such thing as somebody who focuses exclusively on strategy or takes a hands-off approach, sometimes I miss that grind of it being me and only me, and just achieving those results. Now my real core focus is helping others to get there.
I want to dive in, because I'm right there with you. Like, we're in a very similar role, and I know our entrepreneurs too. You're building this thing for yourself. Often it's just you, maybe a co-founder. You guys are building it from the ground up, and then all of a sudden, you're right. You get to a point where it's like, all right, you can't build anymore. You have to empower other people to do that build for you. What was that experience like for you?
I first experienced it as a camp counselor coming up in the system. And I loved playing with kids. Like, that was what was so fun to me about going to camp. And then as you become more senior at camp, you're then managing other counselors. I was like, no, I miss sort of the action. In my professional career, though, it's been tremendously gratifying to identify people with sort of like-minded passions and skill sets, and to really bring them into the Monday family and to help them flourish and grow. I have learned to find that as gratifying, if not more than the work itself. And like I said, our culture is very much still where I am in the weeds, arguably too much so, in the trenches with the team, really working through everything.
What are your top tips for managing teams? Like, how do you keep your people motivated on a daily basis?
Well, I mean, the first and most obvious one is to use Monday. It's something that we've always, marketed the platform, of course, to managers. And it really, more than using Monday, it's the values that it really sort of promotes. And the first one would be transparency. That is something that is essential to us as a company and to us as a platform, in that I am totally honest and straightforward with my team, and hope they'll do the same for me, and keeping that line of communication entirely open. If it's big, if it's small, I want to be there for them and be able to support them. And something that I learned in my earlier days at Monday is not to tell somebody how to get there, but to show them where to go. So you work together on setting goals, and trust that you've hired smart enough and capable enough people to bring their own sort of flavor and direction into how to achieve that goal. It's not for me to set for them. It's to work together on setting the goals and to let them sort of enjoy the ride to getting there.
Absolutely. So fascinating. And something that we hear a lot, and it's so hard, especially in our audience, you want to be like, all right, no, this is the way that it's done.
Right. It's way easier said than done for sure.
One thing we love to talk about here is mistakes.
Yeah.
I think it's fascinating because, obviously you're in a entrepreneurship world. You guys are a unicorn company. Everybody sees it. You're like, oh my gosh, like this is a success, and we love talking about mistakes and the lessons that we learn from those mistakes and failures so that our people can avoid those same traps. So I was wondering if in your personal life, professional life, wherever it is, there's, a moment of failure you can share with us and something you learned from it.
Yeah, I mean, there's several. And actually, interestingly, I sat with the co-founders and we did a session on exactly this. They spoke at a conference recently on things that they would do the same if they were to do this all over again and things that they would do differently. And it was so enlightening because, as successful as you feel like you've become, of course, there are things that would change. For me personally, like, I guess it's both personal and professional, I would say, to really sort of relinquish that control earlier and to understand that, there's so much power in delegating and in trusting others and in really bringing other people into your network and efforts. I am very much a doer and executor by nature. And I think it's really important as you grow to loop others into that process with you and to get help where you need it. And also to pave the way for others to come in and sort of continue the foundation that you've built. And so to relinquish that control, to trust others and to really see what can happen.
Absolutely. We have an incredible community member submit a question, getting back onto the marketing and PR side.
Yeah.
They want to know, what are your top tips for building a personal brand, which is part one of the question. I'll hit you with part two after.
Okay. I actually wouldn't say I've really succeeded in building a personal brand. It's not something that was really important to me. And given the fact that I operate in communications, you would think I'm all over Twitter and Instagram and the social channels to do so. It hasn't so much been my priority or focus. One thing I would say that's been really helpful is in just, sort of paving your own path. Something that I have done really from the beginning is not been shy in cold outreach or, approaching people that inspire me that I think have done really interesting things and saying, let's chat and I have questions and how did you approach this kind of thing? I have found that the network that I haven't inherited but really created for myself has just paid dividends in my now sort of existing professional network and ability to really learn and appreciate things from others.
Yes, you're able to basically cold outreach to people who have that, PR branding know-how.
Totally.
It's so fascinating. What is, obviously the audience watching is probably like, okay, wait, how do I do that? Like, I want to do that.
Yeah. It's arguably, persistent and stalkerish or whatever you want to call it. It's just finding them where they're available. LinkedIn is a great channel for that. And identifying things that they've done that you genuinely are impressed by and creating a specific ask around something. If it's a campaign, if it's a thought process, if it's, a career path, that something specific that inspires you. I think everybody should and is open to hearing both, of course, complimentary feedback, but also is inclined to pay it forward because we've all received help like that. Absolutely.
I want to dive for a second onto the personal side of your life
and
what you're doing every day to set yourself up for success. Obviously, whether it's that work-life balance, integration, whatever kind of, word that you use to fill that mode, but, either a morning routine or a daily routine that allows you to continue to be your best every single day.
Totally. So it's our general counsel actually inspired me really recently on the topic of work-life balance. And the way she described it is that it means different things at different stages of your life. And so sometimes you're going to prioritize work more than life, sometimes life more than work. Sometimes the choice isn't up to you depending on extenuating circumstances. And so really accepting that the one thing that you think work-life balance to be changes depending on what's going on in your world. And so for me, I have really gotten pretty religious about scheduling everything. If it's time with my son, if it's, work calls or even time to think and strategize and to build processes, to really time block that in. If it's a Peloton ride, like whatever it is, to know that I have sort of a set day and what it looks like, of course, with room for flexibility and understanding that things change, but putting it all in a calendar and just having a place to visualize what the day looks like is a huge help to me.
Yeah. How do you strike that balance between it feeling overscheduled and also like eating it? Because you're right. If it's not there, you just either forget or like I've recently just started doing this, scheduling like my own gym time in the calendar. Because I've noticed like, oh, I'll just keep pushing it back in my mind and be like, oh, I can do that right now. I can wait.
There's other things that are, more pressing or feel more important, but they're not. How do I achieve that balance? I'll get back to you when I do. I am not somebody who I don't think could ever overschedule. So that doesn't scare me. But you just need to have the flexibility that when things do come up and change, you roll with it and move the puzzle pieces around.
Yeah. This has been one of my favorite interviews to date. And this has been an absolute blast. I think you have such an interesting, honest, and open way of looking at things and living the values that you shared, are all published at Monday.com. So for everyone listening, definitely get on the Monday.com train. But one thing I love to ask our guests is people look up to you and say, oh, they want that level of success you've achieved. Our entrepreneurs want to get to a point where their company's a unicorn or they're working at a unicorn. What is your definition of success, and how do you continue to strive for it every single day? We go with only heavy questions.
I was going to say this is hitter after hitter. That's great. What is my definition of success? I would say finding a way to bring impact to whatever you do. For me, it's not a financial thing. Yes, of course, Monday being a unicorn was an incredibly exciting milestone. But for me personally, it is, no matter what the task is at hand, finding the way to maximize the impact it brings. So whether it is mentoring, one of my teammates, whether it's a campaign or branding activity, whether it is relationship building with other companies, finding a way to make sure that there is always impact and value in each sort of specific initiative lets me go to sleep at night with an easy mind.
Wow, it's so fascinating because, obviously, I think when you sit in the seat of like wanting to be there, you're like, no, it's money. It's that phrase, that key marquee corporate partner I build, that product reaches 200 million or whatever it may be. But, the common thread, I think, is that it's never any of those things. It's always, something more intrinsically powerful to you as a human being.
Yeah. I mean, those milestones will always come and grow. And as soon as you achieve one, you're ready for the next. And that's something our co-founders are incredible about, especially with things like raising money, is it's a means to continue what you're doing. And so it has to be what you're doing and the journey that means something to you, because there's always going to be another milestone to reach.
Yeah. Well, we're making it towards the end of our time here, and I don't know how this went so quick, but by just giving you the floor to say anything you want to this audience, anything I didn't ask you that I should have, any things that you want to say to an audience of next generation hustlers, whether it's that tech founder, that author, that podcaster, not everybody here who's hustling probably needs Monday.com.
Also, for sure.
Words of wisdom from yourself.
I appreciate the sales plug for sure. No, listen, I would just say, let's go. It's now is the time. And I truly believe that from a especially professional capacity, you can do whatever you set your mind to. We are in a world now that gives every opportunity to you to grow, to pursue, to try, to fail, to try again. And if you have a dream or an aspiration or something you want to do, now's the time.
Leah Walters, everybody, head of communications at Monday.com. Absolutely incredible powerhouse in the industry. So much to learn from. I can't wait to watch this episode back because I need to get my notepad out and take some second notes because there's some Leah, thank you so much for being with us.
It was a pleasure chatting. Thanks for having me.
That was Mentor Momentum, sharing life and business lessons from incredible leaders. Looking for more momentum? Subscribe to our weekly Momentum newsletter at nextgenhq.com and check out our other podcast, Momentum Audio, on any of your favorite podcast channels. Now that's momentum.